Good morning, YouTubers. I've got up and I'm reading the comments. There's loads and loads of comments on young Harry, and his aviation award that he's probably paid for. I didn't know, but you know those flagstones on the pavement in Hollywood Boulevard, is it, where they get a big star and you get your name on it? And there's loads of them, all the film stars, and William Defoe just got one, and he's there with his picture next to his flagstone. And apparently, I didn't know this, but if you become eligible for one of these flagstones, you have to pay $75,000 for the flagstone. It's surprising Meghan Markle hasn't got 8 in a line. Meghan Markle, no. But you've got to get permission from the people you get permission from for it. And at the end of the day, if everything's given the go-ahead, you've got to pay $75,000 for one paving stone with a star and your name on it. So maybe Harry will get one of them as well, for being a legend in Hollywood film industry, even though he's not been in any films. But hey, he's royal family, so it doesn't, rules like that don't apply to him, do they? Well, I've had a lot of feedback about Harry and his helicopter escapades, and it turns out that he probably did pass the helicopter course. I mean, most people would have failed, okay, but because he was the king's son, they'll have not failed him, okay. They'll have said, oh, go on then, do a few more hours, and yeah, go on, we'll scrape you through. Because they just don't have the patience with most people. You've got a deadline, and if you haven't achieved that by that deadline, that's it, you're out. Now, he went off to America, apparently, to train on the Apache A864, the longbow. And mark my words, right, this is true. If he was a pilot and he was any good, he'd have been sat in the pilot seat in the back. Okay, but he wasn't good enough. I mean, what it is with the royal family get to play with toys. Prince Charles, for example, when he was Prince of Wales, he was in the Air Force flying fast jets. He was flying the Phantom, the F4. And you could see he was terrified, absolutely terrified. But, I mean, the guy would never, ever have made it as a fighter pilot in the Air Force, okay, unless he was the Prince of Wales, and then they go, okay, we'll make exceptions for you, we'll give you more time, because anyone can achieve it with more time. If for example, you've got 10 hours and you've got to make the grade in 10 hours, a lot of people who are good pilots, right, might not make it in the 10 hours. It might take them 12. It might take them 15, and then they've made it. But with the RAF, there's no. You've got to make it in 10, or you're out. Which I think's unfair, because you've either got it or you haven't. Some people can do it quicker than others, but they only want the quick ones, and it's just the way it works. And they don't get enough flying time as it is in the Air Force. They just don't. I mean, you're far better off in America, in the States. You get more flight time over there than you would get in the UK, for sure. And in the United States, they train on VR. You've got loads of rooms. You've seen my VR headset, and you've got a computer with a joystick and a throttle and rudder pedals and that, and they're there like this, sitting in a chair doing and that's what they do in the United States, because it's very, very similar to flying the real thing. It's an invaluable training aid. They have to pass all the courses, all the exercises on the simulator, just in VR like that. Doing the whole course in navigation, doing whatever they're doing. And if they haven't passed on the simulator, they're not going to pass. They're not even going to let them in the real aeroplane. So, unless you're a royal prince. Now, they've rocked up at... do you remember the Top Gun school? Remember Maverick? Top Gun, the best of the best. Place called Miramar, isn't it? Well, that's a Navy base, but near there, there's an Army helicopter place, and apparently Harry went there, and because he wasn't good enough to be a pilot, they made him an air gunner. Now, if you look back at other aeroplanes from the Second World War, you'll see the tail gunner, and they've got the gunners. They have a little turret that swivels with machine guns in, and the guy sits in it, and he's the gunner. Well, that's it. That's what Harry was. He was a gunner in the front of the helicopter. But they've blagged the Americans and told them he was a pilot, but he wasn't up to speed maybe for the Apache. Because one of the things the Apache has, it has a on the big helmet that you have, it's got another thing that goes over one eye, which shows all infrared for night vision. And you're seeing things in one eye and you're seeing life in the other eye while you're flying the helicopter. So your brain has got to sort out those two separate images and merge them together while you're flying, especially at night, because you can't see anything in the dark. So you've got to have one eye on your instruments and looking around the cockpit, and the other eye to see what's going on outside. And it takes a lot of practice to get this right. I've never done it. I've seen it. I've seen videos and documentaries and things, but when I started helicopter training at Shoreham back in the late 90s, I noticed that a lot of the commercial helicopter pilots, they were all wearing helmets. And all the students would wear some silly headphones, Dave Clark's, with a little boom mic, flying the helicopter, and I'm thinking, well, there's a reason they're wearing those bone domes. So I got my bone dome, which was particularly for flying the helicopters, although you could wear them in an aeroplane when you're doing aerobatics and things like that. You know, pilots don't generally wear them in light aircraft, but I mean, you could wear them in a light aircraft, but it's a bit over the top, I think. It's like wearing a parachute in a Cessna, isn't it? I mean, unless your name's Trevor Jacob, you're not going to fly a light aircraft with a parachute on, are you? Now this is it. This is years old. It's going a bit. I'll have to glue that back in. That goes in the top. But this is it. You've seen the picture of me on the thing. But this is an RAF style. Well, it is. Actually, it's issued by Alpha Helmets. This one, and I had this made for me. It's got a boom mic on there, and it's got this fancy visor. One of them is clear, and the other one is tinted. See that? And you just leave the cover on the top of the helmet there when you're flying, and obviously that protects the visors. I had these put on. These are, they call them ears. It's to stop parachute lines from going behind that lever. See that lever there for the visor? That slides up and down in there, and it's recessed because parachute. If you were flying an aerobatic plane and you're wearing a parachute and you had to get out because you've broken it, you don't want the parachute lines going behind these because it'll break your neck. So I thought, well, I'll have them put on at the time, and like I say, it was specially made for me. And this is all I've got left of all the money I spent. There's a date or something there, I can't. Anyway, the ones that oh yeah, I'll just show you this. That's a splitter. So you've got, on an aeroplane, you've got your headphones and your microphone, and you plug them in the aircraft. Two separate things. But with helicopters, they tend to have the NATO jack. And this is a British NATO jack. It's different to the American NATO jack. They look the same, but they don't work in American helicopters. Okay, they only work in European NATO is different to American NATO. So I got this adapter, so you can, if I was flying in a light aircraft and it's got two plugs, I can use that. And if it's just got the NATO jack, you just plug that in. So that was a useful addition for sure. And yeah, that's all I've got left. It's been sitting in the cupboard for many years because I don't fly much these days. I wore it, the last time I wore that was in an Extra 300 and it was fabulous. I love that aeroplane. It was the best aeroplane I've ever flown out of all the white aeroplanes. It's the one they use on the Red Bull Challenge. Anyway, getting back to Harold. Harold! He went off to this helicopter training centre near the Top Gun place. It's not the Top Gun place, okay? It's near there. So he trained as a gunner on the Apache. So however long the course was, he will have been in there waving his gun about and shooting at things. And they fire missiles and they fire various different ordnance. So he would have done those hours with a pilot in the back. And then he'll have gone off to Afghanistan. And in Afghanistan, we did see him in a bit of a documentary jump in his helicopter and fly around. But whether he went outside of Camp Bastion, I doubt. I really doubt, because they had him in safe places. They said, well, if he's got to be there, we need him to be safe. So they had a whole platoon of Gurkhas guarding him. And he was quite rude to them, apparently. I won't repeat what he said, but you saw him firing a big machine gun. I mean, what was he firing a machine gun at? It might have been a rifle range, you know. You didn't see what he was shooting at. But, oh, the fighting prince, the fighting prince. Oh, give him another award, a Victoria Cross, there you go. And this royal family, you know, they don't put them in danger. They try not to put them in danger. And, you know, you can see why. You know, it's not unreasonable, but, you know, I can't see him ever gone into combat killing Taliban in his Apache. I just don't believe that at all, not for 1 minute. I'd have to see proof to believe that, and that there won't be any, will there? No one's going to show me his logbook. Now, I mean, that's the big telltale. Let me see your logbook, Harry. So why was it when he came back from Afghanistan, he gave up helicopters? He traded it for a desk. A desk. What's he going to do behind the desk? Sitting there at the desk like this, so he can make phone calls. So no, does he deserve an award? What for? I'm not saying the guy doesn't deserve an award, but what for? You tell me what he's done, and I'll tell you whether he deserves an award or not. I mean, if you can just buy awards, it makes awards pointless, doesn't it? There's no point in having awards if anyone can have them, you know. Otherwise, I can have an award for going to the moon. I'm the first YouTuber on the moon. But you haven't been to the moon. Oh, yes, but I bought the award anyway, just to make myself great. Aren't I marvellous? Well, no, I'm sorry. It's like I've had this conversation before about the royal family having loads of medals. Why? We don't need medals. They don't need medals. It just takes away from people that have earned them, don't you think? I mean, Charles has got a big chest full, hasn't he? What, for being the Prince of Wales and putting up with having to eat lobster and have champagne that's not cold enough and drive around in a Rolls Royce and things. I mean, yeah, they don't need medals. They don't need them. I don't think they should have them unless they've earned them, you know. And, anyway, that's a whole different subject. Well, I think I'm gonna leave it there, because unless we actually see Harry's logbook, or we see Harry flying a helicopter, which I have never done. I've never seen him fly a helicopter on his own. Anyone can fly. I can fly a helicopter with someone else sat there, and you could say, well, you're not flying it, he's flying it. But if there's nobody there, he's on his own, is someone flying it from the ground? Like a drone. You got some pilot flying it and then he's just sitting there like this. You can't win, can he? You can't, because nobody believes a word he says anymore. And that's just the sad truth, isn't it?